I remember the first time, like I this was probably a few months ago, because I had been using like spray olive oil and I ran out of it when I was making eggs, because I make eggs for myself all the time. And I was like, oh, I'll just like chop off a hunk of butter, and like I did that in there, made the eggs exactly the same, and I was like sitting eating them, and I'm like, God damn, something's different. These are the best eggs.
They hit so hard.
Yeah, it's like, man, I feel fuller, I feel alive. Yeah.
What do you put in your eggs?
Butter. Butter,
no
and
salt, pepper,
like a little bit of
cilantro?
salt, no pepper, and then sometimes hot. If I do hot sauce, I don't put salt on there.
Taylor, I had that same experience, but like
Tabasco.
a notch lower. Like I only eat egg whites, right? That's my omelets, whatever. They're just egg whites, and they're much lower calorie. But every once in a while, we don't have egg beaters. Is that the same thing as egg
That's the
whites?
stuff.
That's what I'm calling. Yeah. So I use egg beaters, but every once in a while, we only have actual eggs, and I'm like, oh, don't tell me what I'm missing. I don't want to
Right?
know. Right?
She's like,
Do you-
don't worry,
how do
I'll
you make those
separate the
eggs?
yolks.
I'm not hungry right
Evil
after I eat. How nice is that?
When you do have real eggs, how do you cook them?
Late at night, hard
No,
boiled in my
over
little
easy,
Korean machine.
scrambled. Like, how do
omelet.
you?
Oh,
make them?
if I'm cooking
Omelet,
them,
okay.
Oh, you need Taylor.
if I have like toast or a bread with it, I do it more over easy. If I do
Yes.
it with if there's nothing to sop up yolk, I go over medium or over harder. Like literally today, I was making eggs this afternoon just as a quick little snack, and I pulled it off the pan, and I was like, "You're not going to have any toast. This is just eggs and also some sausage I made." And so then I I got the egg out and I cut into it, and immediately the yolk started spilling because I underdid it. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm losing it. I put it back in the pan, got it a little more overdone because the yolk.
What kind of pan?
That's the money maker. It's like a ceramic pan. It's a Cerakote or something. It's some ceramic pan that nothing sticks. And
Cerakote.
it's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I
Is
like. I'm pretty
Cerakote
much
okay to eat off of.
Well, that's
I may be
where I'm at.
confusing myself. I think
That's not just
it's some kind of ceramic pan, and I don't even use my
When
my cast iron that much anymore.
Cerakote
'cause
is a
it's a pain
gun
in the
coating.
ass.
I'm being
Why?
silly.
So why is it?
Oh,
I think it's just a ceramic coating that they use on guns and cookware.
when you see Google Cerakote, it's just Glocks, ARs,
Yeah.
M4s.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a toxic. I would say toxic to cook and consume.
Yeah, I thought it might be. I like to scramble them,
No, is it?
but if I'm eating if I'm like, if I'm doing a fitness thing, it's gonna be egg beaters every single time anyway.
Mm.
It's just gonna be those egg beaters. They taste the same to me. Whatever goo they put in there to turn them not only golden colored like a beaten egg is, and not look like snot, because the Great Value brand, which I have used before, like sometimes they won't have the egg beaters. It looks like cum. It looks like watery
yeah.
cum.
Mhm.
And it's so disgusting. Even while I'm cooking it, I'm like, God damn, this is nasty looking. This is so gross. But egg beaters are even thicker. I don't know what they're putting in there, but bless them.
Taylor, I hear you on the cast iron thing, but
Pain in the ass.
the last 6 months I have fully embraced it because you had the Dr. Shauna Swan was on. She was on what? Huberman. She was on Rogan, and now there was one on Dario CEO where they're all like phthalates and like all the plastics and everything. Just get it all out, like the coatings on your pans. If you can remove those from your kitchen, do it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna embrace the cast iron thing because I've had them for a long time. But the same experience where everything would just fucking stick to it, and I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? And I tell you, man, I feel stupid, but I never let the pan actually heat up. I take my eggs and I put them in there. And if I just take and I put my pan on the, simmer, low setting, let it heat up, takes like 3 or 4 minutes, put a little bit of butter in there so I can see it like pool in it. And then I'll just smear it around, put the eggs in and cook it. I have never had an egg stick to it. And like, I do mine over easy as well, because I like a piece of toast. That way, whenever I have something to sop up the yolk and everything, I feel stupid because I'm a grown fucking man. I've had cast iron skillets forever, and I've never known that you had to heat them up. Like, not like, because I'll sear a steak, right? I'll get it super, super hot and then of course sear it. But I've never known that you had to heat it up even for things like eggs, just so that the temperature is like even on it and everything and not soaking into the pores or whatever.
I need to do that then.
With the cast iron, I always hate cleaning it. The after cleanup is such a bitch, especially with steaks, because I'm going to eat the steaks now. I'm not going to immediately do dishes. So that pan is going to cool off, and it's like full of rosemary and garlic clumps and like solidified.
I just take a towel. Now. I just take a paper towel and just smear it out and throw it in the garbage.
Isn't it supposed to be dirty and seasoned? I don't understand the level of cleaning that you're supposed to do with cast iron.
You can't use soap.
I'm glad you asked, because I don't either, and I'll see it sometimes where it's like actually dirty, and I'm like, "There's no way this is how it's supposed to be."
There's a guy on Instagram. I think it's Cast Iron Kyle or something like that. And I like that's where I got most of my Cast Iron Kyle _Kyle. And I like just started paying attention to all of his stuff, and he's like, oh, "Okay, you don't have to use soap and water; just clean it with water
Don't use soap and water.
Clean it with the metal scrub thing."
Do you season your pans? I feel like that's a dumb question, but like one way or another.
I put olive oil. I did what the internet told me to when I got it. It was like put olive oil and some other shit on there.
Nope.
I think
olive oil. No. So you want to take your cast iron pan and clean it thoroughly when you get a new one, especially or your crappy one right now that probably needs seasoning. You soap and water and get it as clean as you possibly can. Maybe even use steel wool, and then you're going to coat the whole thing once it's dried off with vegetable oil. You need a high smoke point oil. Olive oil is no good; it smokes too low. And then the oven gets turned up as high as it will go. I think, like mine goes to 500, but some people's go higher. And then you put the pan in there upside down in your oven with this thin coating of the oil on there. I don't remember for how long. It's like 45 minutes. And then when you take it out, it's going to turn that oil into this hardened layer of seasoning that is nonstick now. You turn that cast iron into nonstick. The oil goes into all the pores of the cast iron, and it forms this nonstick layer. And you could do multiple layers and even polish those layers. So there's a whole subreddit for cast iron, and those people will have, it's just like putting a clear coat on a car, you know, like they'll have cast iron pans that it's like, don't cook in that. That's for looking at.
That's the looking pan. Yeah,
that's for looking at. My God, that's
within the last 6 months. I also got my cast iron pan fucking filthy, and I was like trying to just pick all the shit out of there. And I even had like a scrub brush, but it wasn't the steel wool. It was just like that really rough, brush, and it was getting torn up.
Chainmail is what you want.
And I just got so exasperated. I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking, like, I know you're never supposed to use soap in a cast iron pan. And then like 10 minutes into cleaning, I'm like, is someone going to be mad at me? This is my pan in my house. And so I just doused that fucker in Dawn, scrubbed.
There's a burger place in Idaho where I forget, like I'm going to totally butcher it, but it's a restaurant or something, but their big selling point is like they haven't cleaned the cast iron or whatever cooking surface over 100 years. And everyone loves the flavor of the burgers and stuff like that. So
I don't doubt it, but I bet they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
there's not just like an onion that falls in there and they're like, fuck it. Like just
no, you scrape it off. But if you get like Kyle was saying, if you get it to a certain temperature, I mean, it's going to kill everything anyways, right? Yep. So like it would get to 500 degrees. There's not going to be any bacteria living in that.
Yeah. I was watching a guy talk about the difference between European eggs and American eggs on TikTok, because they don't wash their eggs, and they look down on us for washing our eggs. They're like, the egg comes with a special antibacterial coating. You fools, foolish Americans. And this guy's like, first thing you need to know about chicken is where the egg comes out. And he like looks at the chicken's asshole, the cloaca or whatever. He's like, you know what else also comes out of there? Shit comes out home too. And you're right. When the egg comes out, it'll be kind of moist, and that is an antibacterial coating which will harden onto the egg and protect you and protect the egg. But we got to ship them eggs to a big country. We don't have one of them tiny countries like France. 2 Frances fit in California. My God, we got to ship ours from Virginia sometimes to California, Washington State, Alaska. So we wash our eggs. And he just goes on this whole rant. I was like, yeah, they do come out of a chicken's ass. I want you to wash my egg, because sometimes I'm going to crack that thing and it's going right into the little bits of egg.
That's why we have to refrigerate our eggs, and they don't, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can take it so if you're not washing them. Yeah, if you're not washing them, you can take and put them in a jar with water, and they'll keep for like a year.
What?
Yeah,
Like in the shell in water?
yeah. You take it like
Really?
yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds insane.
yeah. It's crazy, right? It's jarring.
I want some of these. Leave them on the counter.
How do
eggs.
they know not to have
Pickled eggs?
too cold?
Oh,
No,
well,
Because they're
never
not
going to happen.
fertilized. They're not fertilized. So what you're eating are chicken periods.
You're making some
Yes.
assumptions about what I do with my eggs, but okay.
You're coming on them. You're in a deep basement with a dingy swinging lamp over you, trying desperately to create a new type of egg.
Soon, bird Woody will take to the skies with me.
Now, Jackie.
Help me out, honey. I got an
Woody,
idea.
you've been
doing in there?
You've been spending so much time with the egg thing. It's my research. Slamming the door. I notice I don't have that min-max guide of Elden Ring yet, sweetheart. Get on it. Yeah, no. Hopefully, I would like to try the eggs, see if they taste different, because that's a real eye-opening moment. The first time you like buy the good eggs at the store, and you have to realize like, oh fuck, they are genuinely way better than the crappy eggs. Like the
where do you live,
farmers
Taylor?
market ones.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Missouri.
Why don't you just get some from?
That's what I'm saying. They didn't pop up this year, but usually there's a farmers market near my house, and I've gotten eggs there before, and they are head and shoulders better than anything at the store. More expensive too, though. They're really putting the screws to you. At the
How much are
farmers
they?
market. It was like $7-8 for a dozen of them.
That's what the good ones are from my grocery store. But they're pasture raised chickens. They have that system where they move the feeders in the house are all mobile, so they're scooting along across a field, which just makes the eggs incredibly expensive.
Were the yolks darker? The yolks were
very
darker.
dark orange yolks.
Yeah.
They can cheat that, but they can feed
don't
them a
tell me
higher
that.
they can feed them a higher protein diet. But it's still in the whole ag world, like, because some of the products I've been building are for the space. It's like it's mind blowing, the terminology that they throw around, like cage free or whatever still only means that they have to be in X amount of square foot of space. So they're still kind of free ranging, but they're in a cage still. It's not a small cage. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or on grass, it's like, oh yeah, but the cage is still 1 by 1 on grass or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
the little loopholes that the FDA will let you get away with is crazy.
Well, it's not even the
in there.
FDA. Like sometimes they have like just arbitrary organizations that are trying to capitalize off of some type of branding, right? Like organic, where you have some regulatory bodies that charge a fee to be associated with them, but it's not like it's officially sanctioned by like a government or a state or a co-op or anything like that. It's just a fucking third party who's like, yeah, we're going to be Joe's Organic. And to be Joe's Organic, you only have to pay me $100 a month. It's like, what? Wait, so I can use all the chemicals I want? Yes, you can.
So that reminds me of, I don't know if it's still the same, but for a long time, natural was not an FDA monographed claim. And so quite literally any product at all can say natural. And that's the way it was for a while. Maybe they've changed it. Something like you were talking about, like the regulatory or like these private.
Add to that. Like, people took that natural. People in my life who I thought of as not that stupid would be like, it's all natural. It's safe. It's terrific. It's wonderful. I had a friend sprinkle. He had Simple Green in a pump, bottle. Yeah. He like mouthwash or something. He sprayed it directly into it, and then he showed me the bottle said all natural. And I'm like, arsenic is natural. That doesn't mean it's food.
It's like benzene is like everything that's extant in our reality is natural in some way, shape, or form. We didn't create it out of nothing, but something like you were mentioning those organizations that you have to like pay, like Joe's Organics or whatever. I remember I was talking to, this is years and years ago at this. It was on behalf of a company. I was talking to this kosher organization, because the way like pretty much every product you see in stores that's mass marketed has a little K on the back with usually like a leaf next to it or something. And that means like kosher certified. And what that actually means is that you like talked to one of these oversight organizations. And like the second I started talking to a rep from there, I'm like, this is the biggest fucking scam of all time, where like they charge like tens of thousands of dollars in some instances to send like a rabbi out to your manufacturing center to do a little song and dance, and then you have to pay annually to keep your product kosher and have some other rabbi come out and do this thing, and it costs way more money than you would think.
I think
like
I think they come there. I think they bless, and they also make sure that the process the way you're killing the animal is kosher. Like that is part of it too. I don't know.
It's not just for products like that. It's like, so your deodorant, there's a decent chance your deodorant has a K on the back, and so basically J&J would have had to pay $100,000 or whatever to an organization to come check out a product that it's inconceivable it could not be kosher. You're not consuming it. There's nothing in there that's not kosher, and so it's like they're making money on products where there's literally no reason, because having that little marker on there is, they perceive as important.
Did we talk last time about some of the products that I was building?
You spoke some about it, not a lot.
Okay, so to catch you up to speed, the Warrior Dog product is launched. So if people want to go to warriordog.com, they can check that out. But what you do is you can essentially sponsor one dog, three dogs, or all the dogs. And what I did is I built this tech stack that put RFIDs in the collars of all the dogs. And so you can see essentially them eat, them sleep, play fetch, all these different things. But this was the proving ground for scaling into ag operations, because my goal here is to have radical transparency in supply chain so small farmers can compete with the big four. And so meat producers, they're not going to want to put RFIDs on all their cows and show people, oh shit, it lived on a feedlot in a, like what most people would consider to be unethical way. And these small farmers who might only have like 100 head of cow or something like that can go to local restaurants and say, hey, look here, like you can use this QR code and you'll see the calving process, which was September of this year. So like all the cows being born and shit like that. And then we're tagging them. 2 years from now, you'll be able to see that entire life cycle of the animal, to include the slaughter process if you want to, because food waste is such a big problem in the US. I think if we allow people to see that kind of lights go out moment of the cow, it'll elicit like a visceral response where maybe they'll be a little bit more reluctant to waste their steak. The chickens, like I'm going to have a bunch of chickens. There's a couple of chicken farms I'm probably going to partner with on eggs and also meat birds and stuff. So it's going to be fun, man. I think that awesome. Yeah, I just like the idea of like the little man being able to fucking upsell their stuff at a premium, people being able to have that transparency and like, hey, look, no, this fucking animal really was free range. It really did live a good life. It sucks that it's dead. It's nice that it's on my plate. I can feel good about this whole thing.
Do you have any idea how happy this thing was before we killed it for you? I don't even know. Here it is frolicking. Watch this little video.
Yeah. Here it was playing. Yeah.
You eat every bite of Oliver.